we get to a certain age and we start to reflect on life, we start making different decisions. And a decision always has a root. And it's very important that we look at roots. Lately, God has been talking to me about fruit and seeds and planting. Like he's been explaining things to me in that way, using those metaphors. And I'm not even a farmer, but I get it. I understand where he's going with it. And in talking about fruit, we look at when we get to a certain age, and it's usually around 40, we start examining life. We start examining the fruit of our lives, and we look back. And many of us are dissatisfied with the fruit that we have to eat right now. And there's this sense of regret, like, I wish I planted better seeds back then, but I didn't. So here's the fruit I have, and I might as well eat it. Might as well figure out what recipes I can cook with this fruit. Because when you think that the best of your life has already passed, you will settle for what's presented. And for some, they start to understand that it is better to starve for a period of time than to keep eating the bitter fruit that's poisoning my life. And it's better to look at a bare plot of land where I've replanted what I actually want to grow than to look at fully matured trees that are bearing fruit that I no longer want. And it is the courageous woman who will cast a new vision for her life that will require her to dig up the field, to get rid of the orchard that looked like fruitfulness, but actually wasn't what she wanted at all. That takes courage, because people are going to be passing by wondering what happened. Where are all the trees? What are you doing? When you start to rebuild your life and you start to live with a new vision in mind, a new vision in sight, it's going to show on the outside. It's not just a decision that you make on the inside and it stays in your journal, or it stays in that room in your house where you put the vision board up that nobody sees. It's going to show in your life. The fruit, imagine your vision as a tree. The fruit of that tree is going to show. You cannot hide fruit. It's like pregnancy, right? When you're first pregnant, nobody sees, nobody knows, but after a while, can't hide it anymore. When a tree first starts to bear the fruit, you can hardly see it. It's like a tiny little thing, but after a while, it's evident that that tree has fruit on it. And there's some women who they try to hide the fruit because they don't want the commentary, they don't want the criticism, they don't want the observation, they don't want the opinions, but you're going to get those. There's nothing you can do about it. And this is why the vision sequence is so important, because over the years, I've created so many vision boards, but I didn't understand that that was just a seed. So, one of many seeds that I could plant in my life in order to see my vision actually become reality, actually become fruitful in my life. And it's a framework that helped me to deal with the woman within, helped me to deal with my own objections. Because here's the thing, when we create this vision, there are objections that are going to come up. There are things within us that we are fighting against because this is new, right? What we're doing is new. And there's sometimes a feeling inside of like, oh my gosh, can I even do this? Like, girl, who do you think you are? The who do you think you are doesn't always come from someone else. Sometimes it comes from us. So when you first see the vision, you see it in your mind, there's this thought, there's this idea. There's something within you that's going to question that. It's either going to question it or validate it. And we need to examine what are the thoughts within me. We're not even dealing with other people yet. What are the thoughts within me that are contradicting this vision, that are opposing this vision, speaking against this vision, telling me that it's impossible? And then, am I willing to surrender those thoughts for a better belief? Because we don't ever believe that we're lying to ourselves. We believe that what we think and what we feel is the truth. You hear people talk about my truth. There is only one truth. And in creating a new vision for your life, it's important to recognize that the truth that you hold so dear could be a lie. In the book I wrote, life fed me many lies, and I ate them all and asked for seconds. It's not intentional. We don't always know that we're lying to ourselves. We don't always know that we're being lied to. We just know what we've always believed and never questioned. And as part of your journey, your visionary journey, it's important to question, not just accept the emotions that come, not just accept the voice that plays in your head that tells you, well, you've reached this age and it's too late to change. You can't just accept that. You have to be able to question what life is throwing at you. There's a surrender and a sacrifice that has to come with a new vision. And that's not easy. And this is applied to every area of your life. This is like finances, this is health, this is relationships, this is business, this is everything. Then there's a process of actually working through the revelation that's coming when you really start to sit and think about this. Dealing with that revelation, what is it teaching you? What strategy is it revealing? How do you need to move differently now? And then there's the release of those old things, the old ideas, and the faith that comes from being open to new possibilities. And then you decide, what do I need to do to get me to what I saw? That dream that I saw, that vision that I saw, that thing that I so desire, that I have been pretending that I don't want because I don't think it's really possible for me. See other women do it. I see other women shift and change and become something. But can I tell you that many of the women that you've seen change, it's not that they necessarily became someone completely different. It's that very often they become who they were all along, but she was hidden by someone they thought they had to be before the revelation came. We very often skip from the first part if we can convince ourselves that we have to achieve the vision. We can come up with some steps to get to that vision because we feel like this is what has to happen, have to change. And so often we are driven by desperation. I have to lose this weight. I have to earn this money. I have to save this relationship. My child can't fail. I have to do this and I have to do that. We say these things, right? And that creates this internal desperation, this feeling in your chest, this feeling in your stomach, and it produces a drive. It's like an adrenaline rush. It produces a drive. But that drive is fueled by desperation. And the thing about desperation is that as you make progress, you lose the desperation. And if your vision is fueled by desperation, the closer you get to it, the less momentum you'll have. And then you start to slow down and you're like, oh man, I need to get back to that place where I was consistent. But you were consistent because you were desperate. Desperation is not a good motivator. It's a good instigator. It's a good starting point. Because desperation is where we have the aha moment. Desperation is where we have the meltdown on the bathroom floor. Right? Many women talk about those moments. Why is it always the bathroom floor? But desperation is where that happens. There has to be a point where you move from desperation to destiny, where you begin to understand that I was created for more than this moment. I was created for more than this season. And when you let destiny be the driving force, it pulls you. And when you hear yourself say things like, I can't give up, it's not out of desperation. You're not saying, I can't give up because if I give up, everything's going to die. You're saying, I can't give up because I no longer have the ability to desire to stop moving forward. because I now understand that I am created to live a greater life than what I've been living. And that there are people around me and people who don't even know me who are connected to my vision. And that God, in his infinite wisdom, has made me a part of a plan that is bigger than me, a vision that is bigger than me. And this thing that I am intimidated by, this change, this tweak, this revision of my life, is a piece in that puzzle. And that other people are waiting for me to position that piece. And I dare not contradict that plan. And I dare not hold other people back who are in the same position I'm in, trying to figure out life, struggling, dealing with a million different things, dealing with all these emotions, dealing with regret, shame, guilt, confusion, disappointment, because life did not turn out like what they thought they signed up for. We're all going through it, and it hits us at different times. Some women is 30, some women is 40, some women is 50, some women it's further along. But it all hits us at a certain point. I spoke with a woman recently, and the things that she revealed to me, she is 20 years younger than me, but she's lived, she's experienced way more than I have, way more pain and heartache and shame and suffering. And then there are women older than me who haven't been through half of what I've been through. We all have different experiences. But these concepts, these feelings, these things that we struggle with in terms of what is my life, they all come to each of us. And the key to changing and healthy change is a new vision. And one of the things God was talking to me this morning about was perception. Perception and things that are hidden. Remember what I said about us not knowing when we're lying to ourselves and us not knowing when we're being lied to? When we prioritize those 3 daily appointments, the daily appointments, you'll hear me talk about an appointment with God, which I was just having, an appointment with yourself, which I was just having, and then your appointment with others, which is what we're having now. That's where the revelation comes. The revelation first comes to us, and then we pass the revelation on. And what you want as you walk through your vision, as you walk through your visionary journey, that you're not just receiving revelation and keeping it to yourself. As you continue to sit with God, and you continue to sit with yourself, the lies and the labels are going to fall off, and the truth is going to be revealed. You cannot sit in the presence of God. You cannot read the word of God. You cannot sit with yourself in honesty in the presence of God. because that's why those appointments are in that order, and not find the truth. You cannot. And when you find the truth, the fruit of your life is going to show that truth. It's going to be all over you. And that truth is going to look like wisdom. And I see things in pictures. I've always been that way. And just now, what I was saying, that I saw a tree with gold fruit on it, and people just looking at this tree like, oh my goodness, I want some of that fruit. And when you become a visionary woman, you're going to attract people who want that fruit, and that's okay. But if we haven't done the work behind the vision, that fruit is not gonna it's not gonna sustain them. And I think that's the fear of success, in that people are gonna expect things from us. People are gonna want things from us. People are gonna want to pick our fruit. And if we've been unfruitful in so many areas for so long, there is the temptation and the tendency to want to hold the fruit to ourselves. But fruit is made for eating. A tree does not eat its own fruit. A tree bears fruit, and a tree is sustained by the sun, by the water, by the soil, by the rain. Those things come from God. And we have to trust God that He would make us fruitful. And we have to trust that we are planted in good soil. And if the soil isn't good, we can trust that God will fertilize that soil. And we can partner with what He's doing in us as the trees that He has planted. For many of us, the season of life has shifted, and it is time for the fruit to show. Don't be afraid of fruitfulness. Don't be afraid that your fruit's gonna fall to the ground and spoil and rot, because even if nobody eats it. I was at a friend's house yesterday, and he has a bunch of fruit trees, and I was picking some of the fruit, and on the ground were fruits that had fallen and rotted, that weren't eaten. But within those fruits were seeds. And within every seed is the potential for new growth. So your fruit, the fruit of your life, is not wasted. It's never wasted. There's always potential for new growth. Do not be afraid to become the woman you were created to become. And do not be afraid of fruitfulness. If this resonated with you in any way, I would love to hear what stood out for you the most. Yeah, consider sticking around and watching some more of my videos. And there's a playlist. It's called the Full Permission. I'm going to share that in the description. You can watch that next if you want to. Thank you for spending this time with me. hope this helps. Blessings on your journey. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.